Everybody clap. Nam mama Shri Krishna Sharanam mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam mama.
Bolo Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki
Jai.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hi everyone. So good to see all of you. Okay, so please do turn to Gita chapter 2 verse 47. There are, I think we do have copies of Gita. Otherwise, you can get on Kindle as well. But please come with it, because it is good to see the verses and then you can also reflect on them afterward. All right. So we're going to chant verse 47 again. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu Ma te sangostva karmani. Let's chant it together now. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu ma te sangostva karmani. Okay. So as I had mentioned last week, these two verses are very, very famous for Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And they are describing, in a nutshell, this verse and verse 48 are giving the vision of what is karma yoga. And they are very, very well known. And it's interesting. In fact, I think it only became clear to me this time around. And I've had the chance to study Gita now in its entirety at least 3 or 4 times. And only now it is occurring to me that, see, this verse is about karma. And the next verse we will see, the first word in it is Yogastha Kuru Karmani. Yoga is the first word in verse 48. So 47 is about karma, just what is the science of action. And the next verse is yoga. How do you make that karma now into a spiritual practice? In fact, up even this verse, it is not even dealing with the most spiritual aspect of karma. It is just dealing with, even in worldly life, how do we make our karma, the actions that we perform on a day-to-day basis, how do we get the most out of that action? And what is the way to get the most out of any action? Remember, we saw last week that this entire universe operates on the principle of action. There's not one thing in which action does not play a role. Like, what is the most famous discovery in the last, uh, probably in 20th century? Was E equals mc squared. Theory of relativity. How does motion and how does gravity, all these things, how do they affect each other? Now, this is the same. We might think, oh, that is in that field and this is in this field. But even this is about the law of action only. That is one way to describe action, physical action. This is how to understand action at the subtle level, which is our mind also is constantly engaged in thinking about action. Isn't that true? Thinking, okay, what do I have to do next? What is it that is there on my calendar to perform? So on the subtle level now, not just physical level, in this subtle mental level, how do I maximize action that I have to do anyway? How do I get the most out of it? And Bhagavan says the way to get the most out of it is you concentrate on the action, not on the outcome. And I know that there was some nice heated debate in our study class, which is, but if I have to do the action without thinking about the results, doesn't that seem contradictory? How do I undertake any action without thinking about result? So this is the easy way to think about this is I have to understand what is my prerogative, what is under my control, and what is not under my control. What is under Ishvara, Bhagavan, or if you don't want to use that word, what is under the total? What is the individual's job and what is the total's job? See, individual's job is perform the action. Now, the results that come to me are the result of many, many factors beyond just what I am doing. I'll give a simple example. Some of you might be gardeners. You have some nice plant that you're going to grow. Okay? So you have that plan. I want to grow some tomato plant. So what we do, we have to prepare the soil, get the fertilizer for the soil, get the proper seeds. Then you put the seeds in the soil, you water the seed. Okay? You do all of that. Put it in a sunny place. But how and when that seed is going to grow into a plant? No matter what we do, if I plant the tomato seed, I will get a tomato plant. Even in Kung Fu Panda, they talk about that. You know, if you all haven't seen it, it's a very nice movie because there's the Ugwe, he's the guru, and then he has his student, which is Master Shifu. So Ugwe says, Shifu, there are some things that are not in our control. We have to give them up and do our job. Shifu says, but I can control it. He said, if I want, I can plant this seed and I will make this peach tree seed, I will make it grow. He said, you cannot make it grow. You can plant the seed. But know that no matter what you do, the peach seed will always give rise to a peach tree. We're not in control of that. And what type of tree? Is it going to go tall and straight? Is it going to grow a little crooked? All of those things we don't have control. Our job is to plant. So now, if we apply this, let us think about some ways in which this can be applied. Those for example, if you're a baker, if you are enjoying the process of baking, now they have all baking TV show and everything, but say you enjoy the process of baking. So then you put in all of your effort into making the best cake possible, the best cookies. Who is going to eat it? We're not going to worry about that. Whoever buys it, buys it. My job is to make it taste best as possible. And the other part about this is I should let go of any ma te sangosta karmani. Actually, before that even, this karma phala sangam tyaktva. This attachment to the fruits of the action, I have to let go. You know why? Because in many, many circumstances, we have no idea what the outcome really is going to be. I'll give you a very nice example of this. We can do everything we can to do the action as best as possible, and still the outcome might be totally out of our hands. We think we have a lot of control. We don't have. When we were in the Trinidad ashram, in that ashram, they have one retreat, and it's up in the mountains. You have to go, you have to take jeeps, and you have to go all the way up. It's actually really fun. Now, the first time we went up, they told us in advance, up in that retreat site, there's going to be a lot of mosquitoes. There's something called sandflies. Sandflies are really small, and they give you a bite that you won't feel right away. But once they start to itch, they itch like a fresh mosquito bite for 2 weeks. They'll just be like that. You put the medicine, you're fine. But then there's also jeps up there. Jeps are wasps. Okay. Now, what happened? So they told us, bring your spray, make sure to wear long sleeve and some socks, you'll be fine. So we went up, and there's one batchmate of mine. His name was Fayed. Maybe I shouldn't have said his name. Anyway, he actually lives here in New Jersey. So uh, when we went up there, it was time to sleep in the nighttime. And he was determined, I am not going to get any bites. Okay. So the rest of us, we brought our blanket, we did our normal things, and we were sleeping. And when we saw him, he had one sleeping bag, and he was on his back in the sleeping bag, and he put his hood over his head, and then he cinched the hood also. So the only thing that was showing was his nose, so he could breathe. Really, we saw him. We all laughed. Anyway, so he cinched it so that only his nose was showing. He said, I am determined. I'm not going to get bitten by anything. So, like that, we all went to sleep. In the morning time, we all woke up. All of us were fine. We went to check on him now, and he got one jet bite right here on his nose. He had gotten it. So, even though he did all the preparations, he still got the bite. The rest of us, nothing happened to us. They're like, oh, you really have some karma. We had another batchmate of ours, his name was Sachin. Sachin, we don't know what happened to this kid. He used to get bee stings all the time. The rest of us, we're all doing same seva. None of us got sting. He got at least 3 or 4. Actually, all unusual things used to happen to Sachin. A dog bit him, and then he went to do some seva. One dog bit him. Then he got this bite. He couldn't come to class because he, got that bee sting. The rest of us are thinking, nothing happened to us. What's happened to you? And you can even all think in our experience, huh? One thing that drove this home to me more than anything else was actually during COVID. There are some people that I know who were working in the COVID wards. They were working and as doctors in that and nurses in that COVID ward, and they didn't get throughout the 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years. They didn't get. Other people, they did not go out at all. The one time they went out to get gas or something, they got it. Everyone had that experience, right? If we reflect on these, we will see the truth of this statement, which is only thing we have control over is do the preparations, do the karma. The outcome of that karma, there are so many myriad things in place, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. You know whose job that is? That is Bhagavan's job. Bhagavan is called as Ishvara. Ishvara means one who rules. Now, ruler does not mean he's like the police, He's standing there and he's going to throw thunderbolt on your head if you don't do what you're supposed to do. Ishvara means the one who joins the karma to its phala. See, we might think we are doing a simple action. Like, for example, picking up something. Like, I'm picking up this book. Simple action, right? I am picking up this book, we feel. But do you know something? There are so many laws of physics that are going on at the same time just to perform this one simple action. Even a doctor cannot tell you all the mechanics by which the mental thought, I'm going to pick up this book, travels from the brain through all the neurons, through all of the muscles, then performs that action. All of the ways in which, see, gravity plays a role. So many infinite laws of karma are going into every simple action that we do. But human being only sees the most, we only see the most superficial part of that. Like for example, now someday I was hearing about this Titanic, that Titanic movie. But even the Titanic, it was on that, they were all on that boat, right? It is said that if they were only 3 degrees off of the course that they were on, they would have missed that iceberg. And just think about the iceberg also. It's quite interesting, huh? How many tens of thousands of years that iceberg was building up just for that perfect circumstance of karma and karma phala to come together. We don't know all of the intricacies of the laws of karma. We don't even know all the good and bad, that is all the what is called misra. Misra means mixed. All of the mixed factors in every karma that we do. Like for example, we all drove here to come to Balavihar. We're chanting Srimad Bhagavad Gita. All of these are good karmas only, no? But to drive here, we had to drive in a car. That car is giving off so much pollution. Hmm? Some of us are now thinking, oh, I should stay home then. Good, now I can sleep in on Sunday. No, no. But see, even in good action, there is the other side is mixed in, right? It is not possible to get only one. Say you are coming to, we don't know, right? Say we are coming to say hello to somebody. We don't know that we were talking to somebody else. They had a sick child at home. That child has, some fever. Then that person got it. Talking to that person, I got it. And now talking to the other person, I passed it on. Even that simple thing we don't know. As a teacher, if you are teaching, if anybody in the class gets it, you're definitely going to get it. Either that or your immunity system goes up very well because you're, by definition, you're going to get. So, all Bhagwan is saying here is you don't know what is the outcome of that karma. Your job is to do the job and do it very well. And we were seeing in our Ramcharitamanas class on Fridays, if we even think, we should not feel defeatist about this. It is actually giving us a lot of joy in the present moment. Huh? Because what? Okay, let's think. I want to go on vacation, nice European tour. I want to go on that vacation. So what do I have to do? Now I have to make sure that I get a good job. Then I have to work at that job for so long, go through all of the stress and the headache, save all of my money. I don't get this thing, don't get that thing. I'm saving the money. Then I take that money, I buy the tickets, then I go on the vacation. Okay. Finally, I get to go. And because I get to go on the vacation, then I become happy because of that. So, thinking all of that, I am doing the work now. Right? Now, what happens in if we think a little bit, right? What we really want is we want to become happy. Hmm? I want to do the work, make the money, buy the tickets, go to that place so that I can be happy. But the verse says, if I am happy in doing the action, then I don't need something else to make me happy sometime in the future. I don't have to put off my happiness for, months or a year from now, or maybe many years. I can be happy now in performing that action. That is one thing. Second is the quality of that action goes up, many, many times. Because why? Because I find joy in the action, I will do the action properly. And I have seen this actually. Huh? We went to Rishikesh. Rishikesh, there's Ganga is there. So such a beautiful place, holy place. And we were there standing on that busy street. And Swamiji was asking, where can we get chai? And there were about 4 people standing there. They all, like rickshaw walas, were there, right? He said, you go on that street, there's one guy, he makes chai. He's the best chai maker in this whole city. He's the best one. So we walked there, we went there. He is literally in the middle of a huge intersection. There's cars passing him, cars parked. And he has one small, just like a little shanty kind of thing. And he has that pot of chai going. And that chai is just some 5 rupees. But that chai really was the best chai I've ever had. And all of the people that came there were saying, he's the best one. Don't go anywhere else. He makes the best chai. And I have never seen anyone as happy as that chai wala, you know? He was so happy. And he wouldn't take any extra money also. He said, it's 5 rupees. Not, see, he's totally content doing his job. Because he is content, he does a good job also. Everybody in that place enjoys. And his chai is famous too. You know? Yes. Ah, mhm. Yes. 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 Yeah. How to detach from the result while performing the action. See, the first step of that is to fully understand exactly what we desire, even in the first place. See, if I'm thinking clearly, right? Sometimes we think I desire a promotion, or I desire even an ice cream, or I desire to come to satsang, or I desire that my children should do well in school. So many different desires are there, right? They're prompting our actions. I want to do well in my presentation. I want to do well in my job. But if I just think that desire, what my desire is behind that desire is actually one. Every single creature, including human beings, only desire we have is to be happy. If I can understand that, now my desire is very clear. I want to be happy. To be happy in life, this is what we're talking about now, is don't put off that happiness for some future. Don't pin that happiness on the result of a karma when the result is so nebulous. The result is it's not in my hands actually. I can do. Chances are it will come. That is good. But if I can be happy in performance of the action, then I'm not pinning my happiness on a result that is unknown and a result that can come of many different factors. Huh. Yes. Ah, yeah. So if you notice in the words, Bhagavan is not saying drop the karma phala. He's saying drop the sangam, which is the attachment to it. You know, we can set a goal. Goal is very important. But don't become insistent and don't become dejected if the goal doesn't happen the way we expect it. You know, that is one. Second, we know I really want happiness. So if I can be happy myself, then the action doesn't become the locus of my happiness. Then the result doesn't become the locus of my happiness. I am the locus of my happiness. Two. Third is in this scenario, right? That in Upadesha Saram, in the second verse, it says, Halam ashashvatam gati nirodhakam. When I get attached to phala, you know what happens? That phala, even when it comes, is always very short lived. Just think how long we have to work to go on one vacation. How long does that vacation take? And usually, when you're on vacation, you get maximum headache during vacation. Actually, I forgot this, that thing happened. Am I going to get to the plane on time? Stress, stress, stress. There's one comedian, he said, when our family goes on vacation and we have the kids, to pack up the kids, put everything, then to get them all into the car, to buckle their seatbelt, then to put, wife also in the car, make sure she's inside, close the door. I close her door, I walk from her side to my side. That is my vacation. Closing the door on everybody in the car and getting to the other side. That is maximum vacation. Rest of the time, we're running behind the kids, running behind that. What did we forget? Huh? Hmm.
Family. I have to go and work.
Yes.
I have to go and study. So then that condition is different. Whereas, for example, if you don't have this responsibilities of attachment itself, then how is attachment coming? Because I have to take care of them. I have to go to work every day.
Mhm.
But if you don't have that, if you take that part away, right, so then your happiness is very different. Right? You don't feel that you don't say, if I don't go to work, and if I don't win, that okay, I go to so she comes all that correspondence that okay, lost the match 5-0. So that attachment is bound to happen, right? Your result. Because it's the result. But you cannot say, okay, you just go and play happy, be happy, go lucky. It doesn't matter whether you win or not.
Ah, but we need to interrogate that thought. Actually, it is very much possible to be happy in performance of the action, even if I lose that game, not a concern. You know why? Because I enjoyed playing the game. If I am thinking only if I win the game, I'm going to be happy, I will have stress while playing. And I will have, if I win, I become very, very elated. But the exact opposite of the coin will happen if I lose. And the other part about that to remember is any form of corruption, any form of wrongdoing really comes from attachment to karma phala. Because what I want that money, I want that, you know, I want to see, even in that World Cup and everything, those the people that were running the World Cup, they came under they were prosecuted actually. There were some people that tried to escape to other countries and all these things. Why? Because they used to siphon a lot of the money that people were spending. They did some wrong things even to the people in those countries where they were building the stadiums, and they embezzled millions of dollars. So why does someone do something like that? Because what they're not concerned, we need to do this in the ethical way, do this in the proper way for the enjoyment of all people, all the football fans. You know, they are creating that stadium, they are getting all the players together to make money. Hmm? So when that becomes the goal, you can see. In fact, there was a very nice commercial that really I remember they showed it to us when we were students. So there's one student. He wants to pass his medical exam, and he fails it the first time. Okay, or he wants to pass this exam so that he can go to medical school. So he fails it the first time. So the second time, he bribes the test examiner, gives him some money. So the test examiner passes him on that test. Then the student goes on and he goes to that medical school, and then he, continues. Now, then it shows the medical examiner. The medical examiner is there. Then he has a child. Now the child gets sick. And the medical examiner takes the child to that hospital. And the child is inside on the operating table, and something is going on. And one of the doctors comes out to tell him the outcome. He finds out that student is now the doctor. So then he realizes, I passed a student that did not deserve it because he bribed me. Then he got a position that he did not earn. And then now he is in charge of my child. So what happens? That karma phala, that loop there then is very easy to see. Because I was attached to the money and he was attached to his object, which was to get into that exam, to get into that medical school. Both of us compromised what was ethical. And the outcome was that he is a poor practitioner of that field because he is not doing it, he has not earned that position in the right way. See? There are many times this principle, if we can apply that, even if it's not my child, it's somebody's child that will get affected, no? And so when I'm attached to my phala and I'm not thinking about the ethics of the situation, I'm not thinking about just doing the action itself, all wrongdoing comes because of this only, actually. Very interesting, huh?
had a small observation. Arvindji, you mentioned that all action is driven by karma phala. But according to our Shastras, action is driven by desire and desires are driven by vasanas. and by your gunas. So these are the samskaras that you have over your different lifetimes. So it is not this immediate karma phala that is driving you. There is something much stronger.
Yeah, they're all interrelated.
Before the phala, there is a desire, and that desire is prompted by something else. And the other thing I wanted to mention was, Anandji, you mentioned grihasthashram, and that there are some duties that are enjoined for a grihastha. We received this book from Swamiji during our teacher sammelan. You must have read it. So here, Tapovan Maharaj, who is the Paramaguru, our Paramguru, he mentions the duties of a grihastha, and he talks about how renunciation is only for sannyasis. So for somebody who is in a grihastha ashrama, you have to perform your duties. There is no going away from that. So read this book if you get a chance. If you want to borrow it, please ask me. Hari.
Yeah. So if we think of action in terms of duty more than personal preference, then the action also becomes easy. We don't have to think too hard. Because many times we're thinking, which one will give me more happiness? If I stay in bed for an extra hour, or if I wake up early and go and do my morning yoga, go on my run, all of that. So usually we go with the easier option, just to stay in the bed. But if I'm thinking in terms of duty, it is my duty to take care of this body so that it can be healthy, so that I can also fulfill my responsibilities, then I will get up. I won't have all of this waffling and indecisiveness. That is a big thing also in life for us to deal with. Huh? Okay, so now let us see verse 48. We are going to chant that and see what is the next aspect of this. Huh? योगस्थ कुरु कर्माणि संगं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्य सिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते. All together. योगस्थ कुरु कर्माणि संगं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्य सिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते. Very good. So now this verse is very beautiful because it adds now. Okay, now I understand how best to act. Now how to make this action, divinize that action and make it spiritual, right? Because you can be unspiritual and still get the benefit of the previous verse. Did you know that? There are many people who, just to become successful in their job, they're extremely dedicated, extremely, what is it, focused on what they are doing and happy with what they are doing. That is easy. But how to make it spiritual now? This is the yoga part of it. Huh? Yoga comes from the root yuj. Yuj means to unite. So to unite the lower with the higher, meaning this jiva with the highest, our action should now become a yoga. And what makes it a yoga? This is very beautiful. It says yogastha kuru karmani. O Arjuna, Dhananjaya, you perform all your actions. Stha is a root that means to stay, situated in yoga. Do your actions in such a way that you are always in the spirit of yoga. And what is this spirit of yoga? The answer is given in the end of this verse actually. It says, Samatvam yoga uchyate. That being balanced, samatva, in performance of our action and in its results. Being totally balanced, meaning I don't get elated over getting what I planned and I don't become dejected if I don't get it. In both of these circumstances, if I become very still and calm, then I am samatvam, balanced. In siddhi and asiddhi. Siddhi means accomplishment, asiddhi means accomplishment. Okay? Success and failure, they have defined it there. Being sama means totally balanced. This now becomes yoga. See, one thing that had come up in this conversation now, mentioning vasanas, right? Actually, what Arvindji mentioned is that he mentions that karma phala, which is the most accessible part. We cannot access vasanas because they are intangible. But karma phala, this is in our tangible reality. Okay, vasanas are prompting; they are cause. We cannot access that, but we can access what is the karma phala, our attachment to it. And more than that, whatever comes now, if we can remain balanced, and in the commentary, it gives very nicely, Ishwaro me tushyatu iti sangam tyaktva. That even the wish that God should be happy with what I'm doing, even that feeling we have to drop. Quite subtle, actually, huh? Even the feeling God should be pleased with what I am doing, even that expectation I should drop. Meaning what? I am doing it for God. Bus. That is as far as my uh, planning should go. I'm doing it for God. God should be pleased with me, and God should give me what I want. And if He is pleased with me, then He'll get what. None of those things also we should think. One way to think about this is my thoughts should be only on the parameters of the action, not anything beyond that. How I'm going to do it, how I'm going to achieve it, how am I going to plan it out. These are the things that I can do. And Karma Yoga has three aspects. If we understand these three aspects, they are the full package of Karma Yoga. The first one is Kartavya Karma. Kartavya Karma means my duties, those things that I'm supposed to do, whether I like it or not. You know? Like brushing teeth, taking shower, making sure kids are able to get the food in the morning, go. I also should take my breakfast, lunch, dinner. All these things are Kartavya Karmas, things I must do. Upkeep of the body, and it is said, Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam. We should be studying Vedas every day also. Meaning, be in satsang every day. That's also part of my kartavya karma, not optional. So, these things are my duties, I should do them. Then, what about things outside of kartavya karma, outside of my responsibilities? Those things that I undertake should be Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. That my attitude should be whatever I am doing I'm doing it as worship of the Lord through that action. Hmm? If I think in that way, action also becomes very beautiful for us. Because, see, sometimes I have to clean, sometimes I have to, prepare food, all of these things. They can be little onerous tasks. But if I feel I am serving God through that action, the action itself becomes very beautiful for us. So we used to feel that way because when we were in the ashram doing seva, we used to feel we are doing the seva for benefit of our teacher. That used to bring us a lot of joy in the seva. And then afterwards, when teacher is not directly in front, we still keep Guru in mind when doing the work. I remember we went to our first yajna, and at the end of it, our teacher was giving the Guru Dakshina envelopes out, And I'll never forget what he told. He said, if you wish to give, you can give. If you don't wish to give, no problem. Don't worry about it. In our tradition, we say, if you feel a gratitude for what you have been given, then to repay that debt, you give what you can. And all the funds go to mission projects. They don't come to us. One thing. And second thing he said was, any work that we are doing, we're not doing it for the sake of any dakshina or anything like that. Only reason I am here is because I made a promise to my guru and I am going to fulfill it. That's all. I've never forgotten that. I still think about that all the time. See how that, just let it, if we do a little reflection on that. If I am thinking in every action that I'm doing, even when I'm cutting the baigan, or I'm cutting the potato, whatever I'm doing, even in that small action, I am serving God in my child, serving God in my family. Then that action becomes a divine practice, yes or no? It does. We might not have time to do elaborate puja and do this. But that is why later on we'll see in chapter 9, very famous verse. What is it? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhakta prayachati. Even if it is a phalam fruit that is offered, toyam water, or a leaf also. But if you offer it with bhakti, love, Bhagwan is very pleased. I remember, um, I had gone to one satsang, and the people had spent a lot of money on preparing that place. They made it so nice, and they coming doing aarti, doing all fancy things. Then when the satsang started, they fell asleep. So I was thinking, you spend so much money, put in so much effort, but the most important thing is to get the knowledge. That is why you have the satsang, not so people can come and see, oh, it's so nice, you have spent so much money and decorated everything. So the important thing is to get that knowledge. The knowledge that what? Through the action, I am serving God. And through service of God, my highest good is there. That clarity can be there. So, desire must be there in performance of the action, but the type of desire that I have can be divinized. That is the secret, huh? That same desire can be selfish. I want my family to prosper. I want to get the promotion. I want. Now, I don't get what I want, well, you're going to see a horse of a different color. That becomes selfish desire. But that same desire can become very noble also. Through this action, I am going to serve the world, serve humanity. Some people have that also as their goal. That is why our Gurudev used to say we should encourage patriotism in our mission members. Patriotism in the sense, I should feel I want to serve my country at least. To see God in that is one even more subtle. But you can also see in a very simple way, I must serve in such a way that my country should benefit, my community should benefit. Not just me and my family, but those that we are, that way also, that is one way, that is one step. Then the next step is to say the earth also should benefit. My action should not cause pain to the earth, to the plants and the creatures. That is also expanding my vision. Then one step more than that, I should see Bhagavan in all of those things. You see how at each step vision gets bigger and bigger? But these days it is going exact opposite. Vision is getting more and more narrow. That is why the other day I was in New York City, and someone was in front, and I thought they were talking to themselves. But then I realized they had their phone and they had a bunch of, it must have been a live feed or something, and they had all their followers, and so they were talking to all of their followers about being in New York City. That's why I want that personal attention. So that desire also, the quality of the desire can become more and more purified. Okay, so that is called Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. Then the third aspect now is Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. This is the third component. These are the three components of Karma Yoga. Do our duties without complaining because they must be done. Do it with the attitude I am serving God through that action, or if not God, I am serving one step bigger than me personally. Hmm? In fact, that is why family life is, in the stages, it goes from brahmacharya to grahastha, then vanaprastha, then sannyas. Why is grahastha ashrama part of the development? Because through that, I don't have a family for my happiness, huh? I have a family for my evolution. If I think in that way, meaning what? Oh, if my spouse doesn't bring me happiness, just exchange them, huh? Just like in Amazon, if the thing is defective, you send it back and you get some new one. If only they had, just wait. One of these days, they're going to add this also, spouse, spouse as a category there. That spouse is given because through learning to get along with somebody, then in having children, all of that, what it does is it breaks a lot of our selfish tendencies by force. We must learn how to get along, no? So in that way, from the individual, now I have at least expanded to the family, then I expand to the community, then I expand to the nation, the earth, then God. This is the prescription, okay? Then Ishvara Prasada Buddhi means whatever comes to me, whatever, I take it as gift of God. I take it as gift from God. And we were seeing this, someone was sharing this morning that they had been in a job where that office, they had been working tirelessly for that company and with the goal in mind, right? Working tirelessly for that company, but they were getting so much stress that the doctor said, if you do not stop this job, your life is in danger. Within 6 months, you can have major health episode. So immediately they left that job. And in leaving that job, we might see our ego might make it seem as though I have failed at this performance of this thing. But actually, what they found was by leaving that job, they got a much better job, and every subsequent one has become improvement in quality of life. So, Ishvara Prasada Buddhi means even if I'm doing my duty, something difficult comes, take that obstacle also as a gift. Take it as my prasada. Even suffering, we should feel I am expunging some previous karma. I must have done something wrong sometime. I am only getting the result of that now. Let me go through it with grace. That is Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. Our these Mahatmas, if you read their lives, you will see how they live these principles. Huh? You will still. There's one book called "At Every Breath a Teaching." I believe it's available on Kindle. They're all anecdotes from people who were around Swami Chinmayananda, Gurudev. So one is he used to have heart problem and some sugar issue. So the nurse used to come and give shot every day in the leg. So then the bhaktas used to see that every day the Swamiji is getting this injection, and he's doing so much and still suffering all of this. And so one day they said, Gurudev, you've given so much to Bhagwan. Why are you suffering like this? He said, you don't say anything about my Bhagwan. Huh? He has given me this such a blessing that it is in my leg. That means that when I'm getting the shot under the table, I can eat my breakfast on top. I'm not. So don't say anything about my Lord. Meaning that even that suffering becomes blessing for that person. I've seen that. Many of our Swamijis, they have health problems also. But the enthusiasm with which they do what they are doing, even that difficulty becomes like nothing for them. Whereas you see us, we can have best job in the company, best position, have all the comforts, and we don't have the happiness. I still think about that chaiwala. We don't have the happiness he has. Leave alone great Mahatma. Even that chaiwala, we don't have his happiness. Because of that dharma that he has, that principle of dharma. He is following all these rules only. That is why he has that happiness. So Ishvara Prasada Buddhi, whatever comes, if I see it as, prasadam, one is I don't add any extra suffering to myself, even in difficult circumstances. And secondly, whatever comes becomes like spiritual fuel. They, you know. So then what happens? Why is it that this becomes yoga now? This word samatvam, Bhagavan also says later on, samoham sarva bhuteshu. This word sama comes often in Gita. Sama means I am equal in all beings, in all circumstances, in all things. When our mind now becomes more and more sama in different situations, what is the secret there? I am actually attuning more and more to the silent substratum of this entire cosmos, which is Brahman or consciousness. It is like, if there's a movie going on that screen. Remember, we were talking about our ultimate desire is for happiness, right? In the realm of action, happiness will always be short lived, it's never going to be permanent. The only permanent happiness is in identifying ourselves with the permanent in this universe. And what is that? That is Brahman. Just like if you go to watch a movie, the movie is being projected on that screen, right? Movie is going on, changing. Some happy parts, some sad parts. But the screen is ever changing behind that movie. Now, if I become very attached to the movie, then when someone is happy, I become very. When someone is depressed, I also become. Shah Rukh Khan is laughing, now he's crying. But behind it, there's a screen there. That screen does not change. The screen is the permanent substratum for the changing film. So, also, this whole cycle of cause and effect, birth and death, is happening on the screen of the self. If I identify with the self instead of the screen, instead of the movie, I will have permanent happiness actually. Now, this is a very advanced topic. I'm just giving preview, but basically, the more we have balance in action, the more I am getting myself attuned to that subtle thread that is running through everything else. And so my mind, through the performance of my action, is getting more and more prepared to take the next step, which is to identify with God and not with this changing body, mind, and intellect. Okay? So this yoga, that is why it becomes a practice, becomes spiritual practice for that. Okay? Now, we are going to have our study group time now after this, where we have a passage and some questions, and anything questions that come up for this class, you please note them down, and we'll answer them as part of our satsang now. Okay, rather than in between. In between, it gets a little confusing. So make sure to enjoy that study class time. That is the time we get to churn the ideas and think about them, and we will see more next week. Next verse, Bhagwan is going to say, this karma yoga is much better than just performing just that plain karma. Durena hyavaram karma. We will see that next class. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Be some instructions for what to do next for study class. Okay. Hari Om, everyone. Yes.